It's not my best angle.
You want to flip it?
No, I want it up there.
Yeah, you want it high.
Oh man. Why are you so tall? I need a booster seat. Stop, slouch.
I'm gonna slouch so it doesn't look like this.
Like a little slouch. Hi guys. We've been married for just over 3 years. Been together for like 5?
Over 5 years.
Over 5 years. And we are still together and still like each other. So we're woo!
Yay!
Yay! You guys have a few times actually requested that Matt and I do some sort of question and answer type video. Posted on Instagram if you guys had any questions, and we got like 50 of them. So we're gonna hop right into some of them. And yeah, somebody asked, when life gets hectic and tiring, how do you create time for each other? After work, all I want to do is veg on the couch, but that's so boring and not meaningful to our relationship. We kind of just veg on the couch too. Our days off though, like Thursdays and Fridays, we are super selfish with our time, and we like don't hang out with friends or anybody. We just reserve those 2 days solely for each other, just because our time is so limited during the week. And yeah, we just want to veg and stuff on the couch during the week, but we have those 2 days that we just spend all day together, and that kind of makes up for not being able to like stare into each other's eyes on the weekdays.
And if we do decide we want to spend time together on a work day, we make sure we let each other know, because it's the worst thing that you go home with a hard day and you expect to just veg, but your other spouse wants to do something. Make sure you're on the same page and you kind of just give them a heads up.
What would you call your firstborn?
My firstborn would be Jack Matthew Hoyle.
I like, oh, the whole name.
Yes.
I like that. I like Jack. Okay, girl.
Girl, it'd be Lily Ann Hoyle.
Lily Ann? Why Ann?
This is my mom's middle name.
That's my mom's middle name.
Wow.
Aww. What would my firstborn, what would I like Jack. I've always liked Jack. And I've always wanted to name my son, my first son, middle name after my husband. For girl, I don't know. I guess we can't have girls because I can't.
Can't name them?
No girls, okay? No girls.
If one shows up, we'll name it.
If one shows up, we'll just name it Jack.
No, we'll just put a post on there and ask your viewers what we should name it.
Yeah, you guys name our firstborn girl.
Like a vote, like a poll.
What is your favorite thing to do together and alone? Well, alone, I like to watch YouTube videos, and I don't know, I like being alone. Just being alone in and of itself is wonderful.
Yeah, I enjoy playing video games or watching sports.
Do you plan on having kids, and if so, how soon? We're not trying right now, but we're kind of open. If we got pregnant now, we'd figure it out, but not too soon.
Yeah, we're just figuring out each other, and you know, marriage is a lot to learn about each other, so we just want a good foundation once we do have kids.
Curious as if you've had any really bad relationships in the past and how you knew Matt was the one for you. I've had lots of bad relationships in the past. I started young with my dating life.
Yeah, 18 for me.
He didn't date till he was 18.
I was a dork.
Oh.
God was saving me for you.
Uh-huh.
Kinda.
Yeah, I had really bad relationships in the past, and I think somebody else commented asking about how to not let drama and like baggage from the past come into new relationships. You just don't. You get over it before you get into your next relationship. I was single for a while before Matt and I started dating. He was single for years before we started dating, and you just gotta sort it out. You gotta deal with it on your own, I think.
Well, and realize that the time that you're single, it is a very precious time. Work on yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you're working on yourself and that person that God has specifically chosen for you is working on them, that way when you meet, you're ready. You don't have to be with somebody.
Right.
Because a lot of times when people want to be with other people, it's a way out. It's a scapegoat that you don't have to work on yourself. You have to work on your relationship, but work on yourself.
And I feel like if you're like a person who's constantly going from person to person, like you are just gonna carry baggage because you're not gonna go through like the healing process of that last relationship. You're just jumping from heartache to someone fulfilling your heart, I guess, needs, and that's just not healthy. I was wondering how he proposed. Well, why don't you tell him?
Oh, I want to hear her version.
Oh, well, okay, so we were living in Texas, and we'd been going through premarital counseling, so I knew it was going to be happening, which, by the way, I recommend premarital counseling if you're going to be getting married, because we thought we knew everything about being together and being a married couple, and then premarital counseling, like, flipped our world on its head. So we went in Austin. There's a mountain, kind of, what is that called? Like it's like by Travis Lake Travis. There's a mountain type thing there.
I forgot what it was called too.
Well, we went there on our first date, and so he took me back there, and the sun was setting, and he like had some stuff with him, so I like was thinking he was gonna propose. And so the sun's setting, and like it's going down, and I'm like, he's not proposing. And so the sun completely sets, and he's just like still hugging me, and I'm like, bro, why aren't you proposing? And then out of nowhere, like a minute or two after the sun sets, he gets down on one knee and he proposes, and there was a bunch of people there and they all cheered for us. And I think you got me chocolate and flowers, and it was really, really sweet. I saw that you mentioned somewhere that you guys didn't live together before marriage, which is what my boyfriend and I have decided to do. I was wondering if you guys think that not living together before you guys married helped your relationship in any way, or was the right decision? Well, it was the right decision for us, because we are Christians and we did not sleep together before we were married. So it was just kind of a given that we were not going to live together before we were married. But I feel like I think that not living together is, even if you're not a Christian, I think that not living together is good, because it's almost like when you get married, moving in together is like kind of like, it's like a metaphor of you guys coming together as one, under one household. And it makes, you know, because people who live together with their significant other and then are engaged or live together, like that's fine. I don't have like, anything against those people. But I feel like when you get married, like, what's the difference between if you were living together already and now you're married? I just feel like for us, when we got married, it was like, oh, how exciting, we're married and we're living together. Like it was like a whole thing, like a package deal that we signed on for. And so we didn't really have, I don't think there was any problems with us not living together. Like, we got married, we moved in together, and we sorted out our problems like adults, and I don't know, I think it's the best way to go. How do you deal with your different diets? I live with my boyfriend, and since I started tracking macros, we tend to make our own meals and eat separately most of the time. We do that too. We barely ever eat together anymore, just because his diet is so different than mine in terms of like what he generally eats and what I generally eat. I guess that's probably weird for a lot of households and probably wouldn't work very well if we had like a bunch of kids to feed, but it works for us now, and it's just easier for me to stay on track with my diet when we're not cooking the same meals. How do you deal with fights over small things? We were just talking about this.
Yes.
So when we first got married, we got into a fight over which direction the shower curtain was gonna be pulled when we got out of the shower. So like, say here's like your shower against the wall, and like the shower head is like at the front of the shower, and then here's the back of the shower. So my world tells me that when you're getting out of the shower, you pull the curtains back to the back of the shower and you step out, because you're at the front of the shower because you just turned off your faucet. And in his world, you turn off the faucet and then you go to the back of the shower and pull the curtains to the front of the shower, and you get out in the back. And then that's so weird to me. And we would get in fights over it, because I would walk in the bathroom and the curtains would be pulled up in front of the shower, where I would be walking in. I'd be like, babe,
like
you have
like the door was closed.
Yes, it was like the door to the shower was closed. I had to move it every time. It was so annoying. I think there's like some hidden underlying problems here, because I'm getting heated. So like, stupid, right?
We did get through it, and you realize that you look back on a lot of fights and it really was over nothing. And you really take a look at a situation, does this really affect me in a huge way?
Alright, camera died. I don't even know where we left off, so someone asked, how did you know he was the one? I think I've talked before. I knew he was the one like right away. Other than like a cliche, you just know when you know, which is true, by the way. I feel like when you know, you really do know. But for me, it was also that I had a few non-negotiables, I guess, that I knew I wanted in a husband, and he met all of those. And I think that kind of goes, if you're with somebody and you're trying to figure out if they're right for you, you really should have a standard of some things that are non-negotiables, and don't be ridiculous. Like, don't be like, he has to be 6'4" with blue eyes. Like, no, you're gonna be okay if he has brown eyes. Like, non-negotiables like hardworking, not lazy, Christian if that's something that matters to you, you know, and don't negotiate on those. Don't let yourself like lower your standards just because you meet someone who like kind of meets most of them, or you're, you know, getting older and getting desperate, whatever. Like,
for myself, it's just understanding that you do have standards, and this is especially for ladies, that if you have standards and this is what it's going to be and this is how you treat me, you need to make sure that if a guy doesn't respect that when you're dating, he's not going to respect that when you're in marriage. So things can be proven out over time. I just treat her like she's the most precious thing in the world, because she is. And she needs to know that, and just know that by your actions. So if you have that expectation, don't think that you're all high and mighty, that you're worth it. You really are worth it.
And that's just common decency for a man to treat a woman with respect and to treat her like a queen. Like, that sounds so old-fashioned, but it's just true. Men should still be gentlemen. And that is fine if you're waiting for one, because you have every right to.
And you're worth it.
Yeah. Do you guys ever have any marriage problems, and if so, how do you overcome them? People probably have the misconception that our marriage is perfect because we don't talk about our garbage on social media, because it's inappropriate to. Like, you would never ever in person or on the internet hear me say anything negative about my husband, because that is very disrespectful in my opinion, and he's not gonna say anything negative about me. And you guys know, I like to keep things super real in every area of my life, and like the fitness stuff and like the struggles that I go through. I keep that 100% real with you guys. When it comes to my husband and our marriage, that to me is a private issue that does not need, like, I don't need to tell you guys about every fight and every issue that we go through, but I will be transparent and say that, yeah, like, we've had our problems too. Our marriage, where we are now, has not been how it's always been, but all I can say is that when you get married, you just decide right then you're never gonna give up, that no matter how crappy things might get, that you are there for better or for worse, no, like literally no matter what.
Another thing that I would add on top of that, about not broadcasting what goes on in your relationship and social media besides all that's good, same thing with your family. Your family does not need to know what is going on.
Or your friends even. Like, I don't, like, my best friends and I will talk about some stuff, but to a very limited extent. Like, it's not anybody's business what you're going through, and you do not need to broadcast a negative depiction of your spouse or your boyfriend, girlfriend to other people. But yeah, marriage problems, everyone's got them. Don't be afraid to admit that you have a problem. Don't brush it under the rug and think that it's just gonna get better. It's not. It's like having your own issues with yourself. You can't hide from yourself. No matter where you go, there you are. And same with your spouse. You can't, any issue that you have does need to be talked about. You know, we've gotten counseling before marriage and after marriage when we had times that we thought that we needed some help, and there's nothing to be ashamed about for that. And we both have said, like, we both need to be open and realize, you know, when a time is that we need a mediator. That's really all it is someone who can see outside of the situation and help you. Who is the cover stealer?
The cover stealer?
Like the blankets in the bed.
Of course she is.
Of course I am.
Because she's cold, and I'm willing to give it to her.
This guy just lays in bed like this, or like on his side, and he doesn't move all night, and I have to move all the time in every direction. Do you find it difficult sometimes being so type A and Matt seemingly being more laid back? I would definitely say that it causes a rift, but it's just something that we've learned to work around and work with. I would say like the most difficult part of it would probably be that I am very detail oriented, and it's not like me to forget stuff. It's not like me to miss anything just because I am so detail oriented, and I always have lists going and checklists, and he's not like that at all. He just is kind of like a seat of his pants,
go with the flow,
winging it type of individual. But I definitely think it kind of strikes a chord of balance in our relationship. Like, if we were both like me, oh my god, that would be the most stressful relationship. We would just be like one giant checklist. But if we were both like him, like, nothing would ever get done, because we would go to do anything at all and realize we forgot half the stuff at home or didn't check to see if the hotel was booked. I guess we just have recognized the balance that it brings, and I understand that he is probably gonna always be kind of forgetful to some degree and not detail oriented, and yeah, that gets on my last nerve sometimes, but that's how he is. He's never gonna be, you can't make yourself be type A. Just like if you are type A, you can't relax that much. And
like you said, it's a balance, so I think that we have both grown on each other. And what I mean by that is she has a type A personality and she is not as type A as she used to be. And for me, I'm not as laid back as I used to be, because that's what a marriage should be. You should be able to grow and change, because, you know, Lynette, you know, helps reveal my weaknesses to me and helps me grow. And I do that just by observation, because the strength that she has, I want it. I want to be more detailed. And I believe it's vice versa, that there are times that I'm laid back and she's just all wound up. She sees me laid back and that rubs off on her too.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely teaches me as a type A personality to just like chill sometimes and to not, and to remember that like not everything is a big deal and worth getting stressed over. So I think it's a perfect balance, and I prefer it this way. How does your husband deal with it if you get into a funk? I feel bad for my husband sometimes when I get that way. Girl, I feel bad for him too, because when I get into a funk, I am so moody and I like cannot be helped. And yeah, it sucks, but I guess again, it's just a part of marriage. I mean, I get in funks way more than he gets in any kind of a funk, because he's just not like that. But it's just part of life. We all get into funks, and I think what I've tried doing is to find other ways of dealing with my funk other than just always going to Matt and being like, help, fix it. If I'm in a crappy mood with crappy motivation, that's my own problem.
Yeah, and when you're dealing with a spouse going through a funk, you know, whoever that is, the one going through the funk and the funky, I don't know.
Funky.
The funky, well, say the funky is the one going through the funk. So the non-funky, you just have patience. You patience and you realize that you accept them for who they are, and they're human. People have bad days, people have ups and downs, and if that's kind of their personality, they may be more emotional and more up and down. That's who they are. So me trying to get on them or trying to fix them, you know what? Yeah, there are times where I'm like, baby, what do you need? And she'd be straightforward. I need time, I need space, I need encouragement, I need answers. Like, you're not trying to fix a situation, you're just being a support to help her get through that funk so she's not funky anymore.
Funky. I love that you guys are both into fitness, but was it always that way? If not, how did you guys come to enjoy fitness together? When I first met Matt, I wanted to hang out with him, and he worked out so much. Okay, this is like 5-6 years ago? Like 6 years ago. And he worked out so much, and I did not work out at all. So you were like running like 3 times a week, right? He would just run like 4 or 5 miles. And so he's like, do you want to come run with me? And I was like, yeah, I love running. It's super fun. And literally we would go for these runs, and I would have to stop like every like
7 minutes.
7 minutes, if even like less
from
than
jogging.
that. Like from light jogging. And then the tables turned where I was super hardcore into fitness, and I knew a ton about fitness, and it was like my whole life, and he was not that into it. He was probably only working out like maybe 3 days a week. And then probably just in this last year is when we both got into like bodybuilding specifically, and we are on kind of the same page with it, where he works out just as much as I do and we diet the same. It was tough when I was not into fitness and he was, because I would like beg him to stay home from the gym and he would be like, okay. Except when I was super into fitness and he was not, if he ever asked me to stay home from the gym, I was like, no, there are gains to be made. So I guess just, if you're into fitness and your significant other is not, try to make time for fitness that doesn't interfere with your time with your significant other. If it's an issue, if they feel like, oh, you're always at the gym, well, then start going to the gym in the morning before work, or go, you know, in times that doesn't impede on your significant other. Because that's what my issue was with him when he was going to the gym a lot and I was not going at all, was that I felt like he was leaving me to go to the gym all the time. And yeah, but.
And to add on top of that, that whatever your spouse is into, show an interest in it. And fitness was a big deal for Lynette, and it wasn't a big deal for me at the time until we recently did a competition together. And the main reason I did the competition, yeah, aside from getting into shape, which was great, but it was to spend time with her.
Alright guys, that's probably going to wrap up our Q&A. No, for sure it's going to wrap up our Q&A.
Yes.
I hope you guys liked this type of video. Do you like my Christmas tree in the background? Yeah, see ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.